Just kidding. There's no way that I'm qualified to quantify all of that, and neither probably are you. I mean, look at us. We're interacting through homemade videos and derisive comments, for God's sake. If this is to be done, really done, and not oversimplified, why on earth would we be satisfied with a hack job or armchair analysis? This analysis is how a business who knew their business would do it, like a casino or an insurance company. Except they wouldn't be listening to you and me and our opinions of what they should do, because I suspect it's actually even way more complex than what I just described. What they do is hire really smart people with PhDs, tell them to eliminate their biases as much as possible, and then turn them loose on the problem. So if making a profit is important enough for a company to hire the best to do their expected value calculations, how come we're not doing that in this case for global climate change, which might have slightly more at stake than one business's profits? So if you're serious about getting to the truth of the matter and not just taking potshots to buy some time and preserve your opinion, then let's hire the best and the brightest we've got and have them work with the greatest urgency on this ridiculous grid, numbers and all. I'm serious. Let's draft the best scientists, political economists, historians, and analysts on the planet to bring their greatest effort to bear to work round the clock on what our best scientists already say may be the greatest challenge we've ever faced. I'm talking a project on the scale of the Manhattan Project and the Apollo Project put together. We could even call it the Manpollo Project if you like, and we would give it the greatest national urgency and resources. Because you and I may not be qualified to do that ridiculous grid, but as citizens, what we are qualified to do, and in fact responsible for doing, is deciding how much resources to put into calculating the answer. Isn't that what government is for? To bring to bear our collective time, expertise, and resources to accomplish what you and I cannot accomplish individually? You wouldn't remove your own appendix, you wouldn't try your own law case. We let the experts do the details, which you and I are not qualified to do, and we retain our supervisory role, examining the executive summary before signing off on a course of action that has the best expected value that they calculated. In fact, there's a silver bullet. Both sides of the debate should agree that we should have a Manpollo project, and here's why. Because each side thinks the project will get us closer to the truth and dispel the untruth that the other side has spun. So we all want this, because everyone thinks they're right and would love further ammunition to prove the other side wrong. Wouldn't that be worth the cost? Because a Manhattan Project is not going to cause a global depression. An Apollo project is not going to bankrupt the US or lead to government control of your life. So what's to lose? Really, what's to lose? If we have a Manpollo project and it finds that human-caused climate change turned out to be bunk or that we can't do anything about it, hey, okay, we diverted some government jobs from one sector to another. Isn't reducing the uncertainty about all this worth at least that cost? Let's not kid ourselves anymore. You can ask about solar activity or natural cycles or proxy data, but the climate and the economy are way too complex for you or me to do armchair evaluation of this stuff in the face of so much peer-reviewed science. Let's get the big boys and girls on it. Don't we deserve that? I'm not talking about forming another commission to study the problem further. We've been doing that for 20 years, and the statements from AAAS, NAS, and USCAP that I shared in the video Risk Management make it clear that that time is past. And you can't resort to, well, that argument can be made against giant mutant space hamsters, so we better have a Manpollo project to study it, because the possibility can't be dismissed. Climate change has a little more peer-reviewed science behind it already than the hamsters. In fact, faced with the statements from these organizations, if someone still argued that the idea of anthropogenic climate change can be dismissed out of hand so that it's not even worth studying our options with a Manpollo project, at this point, people might start to view them a little bit like Saddam Hussein's Minister of Information. You remember? The guy who denied the existence of the bombs falling right around him? A Manpollo project's mission would be to study the science, study the political economy, study the history, to not only come up with a whole range of possible scenarios, but to actually quantify each one, to come up with numbers for consequences, both positive and negative, and for probabilities, so that an expected value could be calculated that would end this tumultuous, ineffective political bedlam that surrounds the issue, which really should be decided by analysis and not political rhetoric. The project would have to be well respected enough by all that the public would place such confidence in it that we would all agree ahead of time to follow its recommendations, even if we didn't like them. We would all feel confident that the answer recommended was the one most likely to get us what we want, regardless of our individual political opinions. Because the physical world, which in the end is what this is about, isn't influenced by our opinions. It is only our actions which have impact. And currently, our actions are firmly in column B. If that's going to remain the case, don't you want to know with as much confidence as you can that that is in fact the best place to be? Wouldn't you rather be assured by a huge team of highly competent and unbiased experts rather than going on your own armchair evaluation of what you've read or heard? In World War II, if Germany's threat to the world justified the Manhattan Project, why wouldn't global climate change's threat to the world justify a similar effort now? Just because it doesn't have a mustache? Look, Hitler himself was undeniably real, but him developing the atomic bomb, which I understand is the threat we were reacting to with the Manhattan Project, was just a possibility. No one, no scientist or policymaker knew for sure that such a bomb was even possible. The scientific issue was uncertain. Yet we took action in spite of that uncertainty, because the risks of not taking action seemed far greater. Just the possibility that Hitler might get the bomb was enough to justify all-out action. Why not here? Paying for a Manpollo project is not going to be the end of the world as we know it. But not paying for one might be. Let's get to it.